So this is a talk called Finding Common Ground, Designing a CMS for Many Stakeholders. So pictured here is a sport. Thank you, Evolving Web, for not providing these today. A sport, a Swiss Army knife, and a cafetorium. And if you don't know what a cafetorium is, it's something usually in an elementary school. It's a basketball court, a place to eat lunch, and a place for musical and theater productions. So what these three things have in common is that they're all designed for multiple purposes, multiple features, multiple uses. And if you think about this cafetorium, there's a athletics director that's like, we got to get a basketball court in here. There's the lunch staff that's like, well, we got to feed kids. And then there's the music and theater director that's saying, we got to put shows on. And so they've designed something to accommodate all of that. And so what is the thought process that goes into this? You know, how do you design something with multiple uses and do it fairly well? And so that's my talk on how Princeton has a Swiss Army knife and how we've put it together and what our process is. So my name is Jill Moraca. I'm Director of Web Development Services at Princeton University. I've worked there for 20-something years. And our mission is to provide websites to Princeton University. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about us and give you an overview of our web landscape. So how do we work? What's it like? What are our challenges? I'll tell you about our content management system. We call it the Princeton Site Builder, and our process for building our Swiss Army knife. Okay, so brief overview. So my team, we're 14 people. We're located in the central IT office of Princeton. We use two content management systems. We use Drupal and WordPress, but our primary focus is Drupal. We spend most of our time in Drupal. We have a little over 1,100 Drupal websites, and we have about 600 WordPress sites. That asterisk means not all those 600 are actually active, but finding outdated sites and shutting them down is a whole other presentation. And the landscape at Princeton is one that we have few branding requirements. So if you heard the RISD talk earlier, we are different than that. So our comms department will say we are a house of brands, not a branded house. So each unit at Princeton has the freedom to visually express themselves in a way that they want to. So there's few branding requirements. There are some requirements around usage of the Princeton logo. Who we serve at Princeton. So if you think of the Princeton University, the university is like a mini city. And we have the academic departments, that's the core of the university. So things like the Department of Art and Archaeology, Department of English, Department of Geosciences, you get the idea. We have our administrative departments, so we have a mini police force. We have public safety department. We feed people, or dining services. So we have we have finance and HR, so we have those departments. We have events and conferences. Conferences, they have their own websites. We have faculty who want to promote their work and showcase the research that they're doing. And we also have labs. So labs are run by faculty, and they're doing research. They have lab members and equipment, and they want to showcase that. So this is who we serve. And if you think of this as a mini city, each one of these areas of the university has different goals, sometimes different audiences, and different content. But there's obvious overlaps that can be seen. So this chart I've made has some check boxes. It's not comprehensive, just to give you the idea of, most people have events taking place, or they have a people directory. And so you can see there's some commonalities among all the Princeton websites. There's some challenges, of course, with making university websites. Our challenge is there's many sites. So if you add up 1,100 plus 600, we have 1,800 websites. We have a small team to maintain those sites. So I did some math. So there's 100 and something websites supported per person on my team. including myself. Because of that, we want to make maintenance as easy as possible. We want to aim to future-proof our work against potential major upgrades. You've gone from a Drupal 7 to 9 to 10 upgrade. It's a major upgrade. So we want to try to, as best as we can, make decisions and make a potential upgrade easier later on. We want to have flexible yet reasonable branding and layout options. So remember I said we're a house of brands, not a branded house. We need to provide people with a way to make unique websites that is within reason, meaning they can pick fonts and colors and put their own logos in and so forth. We want to do that and be cost effective. We don't have endless budgets. We want to implement many useful, well-designed features, not many poorly designed features. So if you try to do too much, there's too much in your cafeteria, too much on your Swiss Army knife, you can cram a lot in, but it's not going to be done well. And then we have to manage several customer requests. So people from all over our mini city of the university are requesting things of us to put into our Swiss Army knife, and we have to manage that. I'm going to talk a little bit about that process. So our Swiss Army knife, we call it the Princeton Site Builder. It runs in Drupal 10. It's a multi-site platform. It's hosted in Acquia using Site Factory. And we offer various options. So we have different colorways, different font pairings, blocks, layouts, configurations, and we also have starter kits. If you want to dive in more and learn about the Princeton Site Builder, you are welcome in the links to the presentation to read our documentation, see our demonstration site. Our demonstration site is one where we just sort of dumped all the blocks and layouts on the page. And then to view on YouTube a recording from Drupal Camp, New Jersey, 2023, a behind-the-scenes look at the Princeton Site Builder. This is done by our architect, Brian Osborne, who gave that presentation. So a little bit more about our Swiss Army knife. You can get an idea of what I mean by colorways and font pairings. So we offer these options. Our mission is to provide websites to the university. And so we allow people to make choices and pick these different variations. So we provide our services in two ways. So the first way we provide it is this do-it-yourself self-service. We provision the site for you, you get a template, you fill it in, you pick some colors, fonts, blocks, move some things around, completely do it yourself. But our campus customers can also work with our team as a mini design agency, where we charge an hourly rate and we do website projects. So not only are we providing this Swiss Army knife as a do-it-yourself tool, my team uses it to make websites for others at Princeton. So here's an example of our blocks that we provide people, and the blocks have a bazillion different layouts. This is one of many blocks. If you look at the documentation, you'll see we have tons and tons of things. So for the do-it-yourselfers, they can customize as much as possible. So then, how do we build this? So we're building a tool that has to be used by many people, academics, administrative units, conferences, and so forth. And the way we've gone about it is, I tried to do a Venn diagram here, but it's really, there's like too many things overlapping. It's a lot of elements that go into making decisions about the Princeton Site Builder. The first one is just identifying the obvious commonalities based on content. So that table earlier where I showed, well, a lot of people have people directories, a lot of people have news, a lot of people have events. We know these things, so we've obviously built them into the Swiss Army knife. We also identify obvious commonalities based on the audience. So we know our academic departments are often looking to attract prospective students, attract prospective faculty to come do work and research at the university. So there's definitely commonalities among the audiences, even if they're doing vastly different research from history to science. We also, on our team, we've collectively probably been building websites for, 100-something plus years. We leverage our experience working on higher ed websites. some of us have been at the university for a while. We've built the original, I'm just gonna make up a department history site, and then we've redesigned it, and we've maybe even have redesigned it again. So we have all this experience working on higher ed sites and have seen a lot of requests and what works and what doesn't work. And the other, I'll call it a non-negotiable thing that we have built in, of course, are things like that we have to do. So policy things, trademark of the logo. We have to use the Princeton University logo properly. So those are built in, and that's like the non-negotiable common ground. And then we also have to define our limits. So an example of that is, people want to build an intranet in our site builder. You can, we've done it, but we at least define it and say it to ourselves, like, this is not designed to be an intranet tool. There are other tools for that. Because we can't build a Swiss Army knife that is just gigantic and does every single thing. Then we're really gonna degrade the quality of it because it's got too much and it doesn't do anything well. So we have to define the limits. Our process that goes into the site builder. So we started to create the Princeton site builder probably around 2018. We knew a Drupal 7 upgrade was coming. We started to build the Princeton site builder in Drupal 8. It's now Drupal 10, of course. And when we started building it, we had to define, well, what are the common elements that go into this? And so we began it then, and we continue to work on it. It's a continually improving product. The way we find common ground and hear from all the people in the mini city of the university is numerous ways. One of the ways is through our support tickets. We have a support person. He answers our support requests full-time, and he will tag issues with certain characteristics so that my team can see, for example, we're getting a lot of requests about media, or we're getting a lot of requests about videos. And when we see that, we can focus on that area, that arm of the Swiss Army knife. Customer requests, things that don't come in through support tickets, but things that we hear in email, things that people stop us in the hallway and call us and tell us about. We consider customer requests. We do have to be careful not to just listen to the loudest customer, the most persistent customer when it comes to this, because it can be easy to fall into that trap there, where it's not quite a trap, but it's more like, well, they're the loudest. It might not be the top high priority, but they're the loudest. We also leverage Jira heavily. So the screenshot I'm showing here is one of our Jira dashboards. And it shows you part of our prioritization process. So when we do our sprint planning for the product to talk about, well, what's the next thing we build in, what's the next thing we focus on, we refer to this dashboard. And what it does is it looks at the backlog in multiple ways. We have tags for things. We tag things as project blockers, customer requests, accessibility, something we have to address with accessibility. We've added a field in for number of requesters. So as people on my team hear of requests, we start to just tick up the numbers. And once we see a request that's had 5+ requesters, we start to look at that request and consider building it into the Swiss Army knife. Of course, we use Jira's prioritization, high, medium, and of course, leveraging these dashboards so the team can get a view into the priorities. It's also important to connect with your customers. This isn't a product in the sense that we have a business owner. We are both the business owner and the technical owner of the Princeton Site Builder, so we need to connect with our customers and hear from them what is it that they need. We do host a user group meeting monthly, feed people, that gets people out and talking with you. So it's one of the elements that goes into the Swiss Army knife. When we're talking about the site builder and building and discussing what goes into the Swiss Army knife, it's important to foster good team dynamics. So everyone on my team has a seat at the table when it comes to planning the sprint for the site builder. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? Sprint planning, so we're working on our work and, okay. So everyone on the team has a seat. So remember I mentioned our support person who answers the ServiceNow tickets. He comes and he can say, you know, some people have trouble with this and they weigh in. The project managers, they come to the meeting. Our content strategists, designers, developers, everyone has a seat at the table. They all have a voice in the direction of the product. And we have healthy discussions about what goes into the Swiss Army knife and what does not go in. And some people are advocating for some things, and some people are saying, well, I don't think we should really do that. And so we have these healthy debates about not just the priorities, but also if we decide to put something in, what's our approach to that? And another important thing when it comes to finding commonalities and looking for, well, what goes in with the site builder is also empowering the team to say no. So we might have someone approach us and say, I really want this feature, I really need this feature. And sometimes we have to either say no, or we say, thank you, we're gonna note that in our backlog and we'll get to it if we can get to it. And then when we're planning, we're always asking ourselves, will this benefit more than one person in the platform? Does everybody need the corkscrew on the Swiss Army knife? Does everybody need the little mini scissors? And if not, then we consider building in a customization just for one site. Although we try not to do that, but we have done that. We have the capability to do that. Sometimes when our campus customers hear words like template, standards, they go, well, we want to be different, we want to be unique, we want our own thing. And we have to educate them on the benefits of being in the Princeton Site Builder. And sometimes just explaining it in words isn't enough. We actually show them, well, you are all in the Site Builder and there is a foundation to it, but look at all the layers of customization you can put on. And I sort of describe it within my team is with this illusion of customization. It's like customization that we've given people within a boundary. So they can't go off the rails. They can't, or they limit their chances of doing something that doesn't meet our accessibility policy. But they get this illusion because they can add all these different colors, fonts and blocks and things. So once they hear about the benefits of it, they're mostly sold and they'll come into the platform. And particularly when we put it in terms of, you will get, it's hosted for free. So after the site is built, my team hosts it and we support it and we offer training. Support, they can, unlimited support tickets they can send us. So there's certainly some benefits to being there. We also try to convey the reasons why a common user experience is beneficial. Because as visitors navigate across Princeton's websites, if you remember, if you saw the RISD presentation where they have a design system and a navigation system, they try to, it's common among the college. We don't have that in our design system, but my team does aim to build in some consistency. So if you're going from department site to department site, there's some expectations. And then we do persuade the site owners to use common features versus building something custom for them. Sometimes we just have to show them, well, other departments are listing their people in this way, and so if you use our common features, your site's going to look just as good as this other site. But yes, we do have people saying they want something now, and yes, happens often. Some regrets with this process. I have a few, but not many, because overall it has been working well. Because we've had this platform for so many years, 2018, we have built things in that were trending years ago that we've had to rework. So things like image sliders, we were doing it one way and then we have to do it another way. And we are still making some custom features for websites. It's something the website really, really needs. It's just bespoke to that unit of campus. It didn't make sense to put it into the Swiss Army knife. So we will do that as needed, but again, we have like a healthy debate about should we or shouldn't we do it, and how do we do it in a maintainable way. And that sums up the Princeton Site Builder. So, we have time for questions?
I think there's one.
Thank you. It was really great, and I love the product approach, getting the team around the table. I'm wondering, how do you involve the representatives from the teams that are the site owners? Do you publish your backlog? Can they upvote features they want, or is it very internal to your team?
That's a great question. So we do not publish our backlog. There are some comments within our team that we just keep to our, but what we have selectively done is we have identified the top 5 issues we think we should work on next. We then publish those top 5 to the user community for them to vote on. So we curated some issues to vote on. So did that. Yeah, we had some boundaries there. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Does it power the primary?
Oh, sorry.
Does it power the primary.edu? If so, great. If not, what's your relationship with that team?
Yeah, this is so good question. It does not power the primary.edu. That the primary.edu is the one website that is not in the Princeton Site Builder that my team helps to support. That is on its own code base. And we did that for reasons of just security, uptime. We wanted to isolate that site from the rest of the sites because of the importance and high visibility of it. Yeah.
Awesome.
You must have a really great team.
Yes, Byron here in the audience is on that team.
I'm wondering, like you share so much on the technical side of like the site builder, is there also sharing of the personas and more of the user research or any of those other resources?
We haven't created the personas for the entire platform, so no, that's a good question. But our personas would be prospective students, prospective faculty, current faculty, and then because the sites serve everyone, it's also alumni and staff. But no, we haven't created user personas.
How big of a team do you have, if you don't mind?
So question, how big is my team? There's 14 people, including myself. So I'm director of the group. We have 2 project managers. We have a content strategist. We have 3 designers. They're also our front-end developers to some extent. 1 support person, and the rest of the team is our developers. And you want to talk to one of those developers? Byron here is from my team.
First of all, thank you very much for being here and your presentation. I just wanted to know, how do you balance giving other departments access so that they can do things independently, so that your own bandwidth is moderated and not overwhelmed by doing everything for every department, but also being a gatekeeper and having to have exclusive access to trademarks and logos and things that would only be appropriate for your department to have jurisdiction over?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we do want departments to do as much as they can with the website without having to come to my team, because we only have so much time. So they do have access to do things like add blocks, configure blocks to some extent within the boundaries, position things on the page, all in a point-and-click way. They do not have access to the code at all. And then the other part of your question was?
Yeah, like how do you give history department, geosciences the ability to do what they do, but not go too far and abuse the unique assets?
They do. I mean, they can. So that's sort of the trade-off with giving them enough freedom to do what they need to do. They can abuse the assets. They can put a logo in that's distorted. We do lock down the Princeton University logo, copyright, and an accessibility link. So there are places in the site that are locked that they can't touch. But they can go wrong. There's times where my team has designed the site and we hand it off, and then a couple months later we go, ooh, they can do it. Yeah. We do welcome them to come to us for guidance though, so if they have a question, we try to guide them.
Thank you.
It's a news site, it has to go through accessibility review and communications review, so that's
Is that a new site or new page or just new entire
New site.
New site?
Yeah, they can add pages and they can add pages poorly.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, is there any mechanisms that you built in to flag things when they go wrong from when the user comes in and does something that breaks something?
Yeah, so not so much as break something, they can put something in that doesn't look quite right, they may place a block in a way that we would not have placed it. We do have two checking mechanisms, particularly for the content editors. One is editorially. It's running right in the Drupal website, and so as people are editing content, it's giving them feedback on what they're doing incorrectly when it comes to accessibility. And then we also do offer
Sorry,
demo.
what is that? Is it like some kind of plugin that
Drupal,
goes?
yeah, Drupal module, yeah.
Okay.
So it's editorially, and the L part is A11Y, which is short for accessibility.
Cool.
So if you were to Google editorially
Uh-huh.
and Princeton, there's a page that should come up. It's a module, so people are welcome to use it. Over time. Thank you, everybody.
And just to add, it's a module that Princeton created, right?
Yes, we
Yeah.
created. Yeah, so here John Jameson.
Yeah.
So
Thank
kudos to
you
John
for that.
Jameson.